entry with one team. That, in today's sports world, is just unheard of. But what an accomplishment. That's coming up later in the show. In the meantime, hello again and welcome to What's New. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Alongside Betsy Kling, I'm Jay Crawford. Betsy, a very good Wednesday evening to you and, of course, to everyone watching at home.
You too. A little windy out there. You said you had to chase down your recycling today.
I did. It was in my neighbor's yard. I had to do the neighborly thing and go over and grab a bunch of cardboard boxes. It was blowing out there.
Yeah, there were a few little scattered power outages here and there. We haven't heard of any major impacts.
Right.
The wind advisory continues till midnight tonight. Matt will be along in just a little bit with not only an update on the wind, but we have not one, but two cold mornings coming our way.
Here they come. In the meantime, we begin with this evening with new developments concerning the shooting death of Cleveland police officer Shane Bartek. Late this afternoon, Cleveland's mayor, police chief, and director of public safety announced today Officer Bartek's death will officially be categorized as in the line of duty. Bartek was shot and killed New Year's Eve in a carjacking. Isabel Lawrence has been following this story. She's at a vigil right now for Officer Shane Bartek, which is set to begin in about 30 minutes from now. Isabel, good evening to you.
Good evening, Jay. Yeah, we're here on Kipling Avenue where people are expected to gather, like you mentioned, in about 30 minutes outside the headquarters here of Black on Black Crime, Inc. to honor that fallen officer. Now, from here, they're going to march down to the 5th District Police Station, and we understand there will be a program there as well. Now, to break this down for you, according to the official complaint here, Bartek died during the armed robbery of his vehicle. He was shot during a struggle. He wasn't technically on a shift during that time, but as officers will tell you, if they see a crime happening, they are always working. His death was ruled a line of duty death. So again, let's break down exactly what that means for you. According to the General Police Order, Cleveland Division of Police, a line of duty death is one which, quote, results from any action, purposeful or accidental, which claims the life of a member while performing a function that they are authorized or obligated to perform by law, rule, regulation, or condition of employment, whether on or off duty. Now, this afternoon, Police Chief Wayne Drummond said they reviewed footage and observed that Officer Bartek utilized training that he received in the police academy to try to disarm that suspect there. And that review was conducted by the Cleveland Division of Police through the Line of Duty Review Committee, as well as the Cleveland Department of Law. But friends of Bartek say that he was loved by everyone and will always be remembered as a hero.
He really he made the most out of his life, and for everything that he accomplished in 25 years is nothing short of incredible. I hope people remember just a loving, caring individual that really put everyone else before him.
Such high praise for this officer. And that friend there, Michael Lucas, told me that he and some other friends of Officer Bartek's have teamed up with the Cleveland Foundation to create a scholarship fund in his name. And Lucas told me an idea for the scholarship was for it to go towards students who want to go into law enforcement or study criminal justice, but ultimately they want Bartek's family to make that decision. And we do have that link to that scholarship fund on our website, WKYC.com, Jay.
All right, Isabel, terrific job explaining the criterion that is necessary for this homicide to be labeled as in the line of duty. What is the significance, though, of it actually now being categorized that way?
Yeah, Jay, so this categorization does a few things. One of them is for the families. It allows the families of the fallen officer to have access to certain benefits, which, of course, during a heartbreaking time like this is tremendously helpful. It also allows the family to have support and help and eligibility for that support and help from nonprofits like Blue Coats here in Cuyahoga County, which we know supports the families of fallen or permanently disabled officers in the line of duty. And then lastly, as well, it helps with all the ceremonial aspects of services and funerals. So they will have the support of the police department in organizing that funeral service with officers from throughout the state, flags at half-staff, all of those ceremonial elements as well.
Isabel Lawrence reporting live on What's New, and just a heartbreaking tragedy. Isabel, thanks.
Now on your feet at 5, COVID transmission rates are sky high in our area, with the Summit County Health Commissioner now reporting 54% of people who went through its drive-through site testing positive for COVID. That's more than half. They tested positive from December 28th through the 30th. And officials do not anticipate that rate to change because, of course, we're beginning to see the cases from post-holiday gatherings. In Cuyahoga County, there's also a high amount of community spread. The health commissioner held a press conference today urging people to mask up and get vaccinated, saying he's seeing a slowdown in people getting first-time vaccinations. He says the facts are indisputable.
These two statistics have held true, and that was for all of last year in our current time frame. 95% of the people that are hospitalized and 95% of the deaths in the state of Ohio were among unvaccinated.
Cuyahoga County remains #1 in the state in number of positive cases per capita. He also mentioned if you need to be tested, the Walker Center does have available appointments.
All right, Betsy, right now, here's today's COVID numbers snapshot. The state reporting 19,750 new cases. That's about 750 fewer than we saw yesterday, but it is still significantly over our 3-week daily average. In fact, it's over by more than 5,000 cases. Hospitalizations down from yesterday by more than 100, but we still saw 593 new patients being admitted to Ohio hospitals. Our total number of COVID patients currently in Ohio hospitals, another all-time high. It now stands at 6,457. And Betsy, I know you gave critical information about specific local testing sites. However, it is important to point out that after 6 straight reporting days of a positivity rate statewide over 30%, the past 3 days, that number has been down significantly, with the most recent number coming in below 20%. Now, it has been a while since we've had an opportunity to sit down directly with our governor, Mike DeWine. Maureen Kyle had the opportunity to do just that today, speaking one-on-one with the governor. And as you would expect, COVID was the #1 topic, beginning with masks in schools. Here's a portion of Maureen's interview.
And in the meantime, as a parent who's sending kids back to school, I know that masks in schools, vaccinations, it's been a hotbed of controversy between people who have different philosophies. I know you recommended masks in schools. Do you have a message to any school districts? I know that they make decisions on their own as to how to keep our kids safe as they do head back to the classroom, either this week or whether it's next week.
Well, the most important thing, parents can do is have their children vaccinated. We're seeing our children's hospitals, made a plea because they're filling up as well with children. They made a plea last week to all the schools in the state and asked them to mask. And I think the good news is that this Omicron, we think it will fade. But January and maybe the first couple of weeks in February are going to be tough. And if schools want to stay in session, which I think everybody wants our kids in school, we understand that having kids out of school puts tremendous stress on families. It puts stress on kids. It's not the best way to educate kids is remotely. So we want our kids to stay in school. If we want our kids to be in school, the most important thing we can do is have them vaccinated, but also for the schools to mandate masking, because we found in doing this for 2 years that the virus does not spread very much in school when children are in fact masked. If they're not wearing masks, it not only spreads in school, but then it goes back to those families, maybe infecting their grandmother who is vulnerable. So masking right now is very important.
Maureen is live coming up tonight at 6 o'clock on What Matters Most, with more on her discussion with the governor, including how Ohio is dealing with the pandemic in other ways. And we have the full interview up on our website, WKYC.com.
Well, less than 24 hours after a 2.8 magnitude earthquake rattled Timberlake, another hit just about a half-mile away in Eastlake. Today's aftershock registered as a 2.0 magnitude quake. It happened around 5:30 this morning and was a little over 1.5 miles below ground. It was just but a little over a half-mile away from yesterday's earthquake. And as we mentioned yesterday, this area is the most active region the ODNR has studied in the last 2 to 5 years. They are going to be doing more to improve technology for monitoring, and of course, putting stations out to kind of keep a little network going to see how all of this is transpiring. I did a quick search, and actually in 2020, the ODNR put together a phenomenal pamphlet. You can search Google or whatever browser you use, type in ODNR earthquake leaflet, and it'll probably be the first thing that pops up. It's a 2020 leaflet put together by Michael Hansen. Great information in here,
Nice.
Lots of historical context, but one other thing to kind of keep it all relative, right? Number one, our ground is nothing like California, so we don't have the big one coming.
Right.
The biggest one was 5.0 in our area back in 1986. A lot of people felt that. These little tiny earthquakes barely even register. As a matter of fact, the USGS, U.S. Geological Survey, doesn't even plot anything below a 2.5.
Oh, wow.
Yesterday's quake got more than 300 responses of people who said, oh, I felt it, or some people said they didn't feel it. Today's earthquake, 5. So people really, it's not a really big deal. It's more or less one of those notable scientific, like, oh, isn't that interesting?
And it's not uncommon, is it, to have the aftershock, like you get them kind of in close proximity and no big deal.
And again, our earthquakes here are very, very similar to little pops and groans you have in your own body.
Sure.
Things are just adjusting.
All right, very good. The earth with a chiropractic adjustment.
I felt the earth move. I know you're singing it with me now.
Yeah,
Thanks for
that's
the
a catchy
earword.
one.
You're welcome. Still ahead, shoveling safely. Snow is on the way. I know. I said it. And for some, pushing all that white stuff can actually be dangerous. You know that. We'll hear from a local cardiologist on the risks.
And singer Jason Derulo is in some hot water. This after being involved in an attack in Las Vegas that was actually caught on camera. We're going to tell you what sparked that attack. It's coming up next in Pop Break.
And Matt, we got a lot happening in our forecast here.
Yeah, we certainly do. Temperatures on their way down as we speak. That colder air continues to filter in. We're going to kick off some heavy lake effect snow, but it's going to stay out over the lake and target Buffalo over the next 24 hours. But then things might change. Interesting forecasts as we bring in this colder air, your evening night out. Might as well just make it an evening night in. How about that? Windy and turning colder. We're in the 20s. We've got your full forecast next.
Correct.
It is Hump Day, so that means it's time again for our weekly Wellness Wednesday segment. I enjoy these because I always learn something that can help us live a more healthy life. And today we're talking about the rigors of shoveling snow. Yep. USA Today reports those 45 years and older are at a higher risk for a stroke or heart attack from performing the outdoor chore. That number sort of surprised me, just 45.
Well, I think a lot, there's more that goes into it than just a number.
Yeah, there are.
Well, for those who aren't active, it's a big risk. Also, those who are not used to high stress physical labor or have certain medical conditions. Now, we did talk to a cardiologist from the Cleveland Clinic who told us shoveling snow is similar to taking a stress test and recommends those 55 and older are best just to leave it to somebody else.
The people that run into trouble are the ones that, haven't been off their couch in 2 months, okay, or just doing very minimal, 10 minutes of some stretching, okay, and then you're telling them to go outside at 6 o'clock in the morning to, in the cold to shovel snow. Those are the people that get in trouble, okay, especially if they have, as I mentioned, underlying conditions that can predispose to coronary artery disease, if they're obese, if they have diabetes, if they smoke, if they have high cholesterol or high blood pressure. All of those factors play a role, and they're more prevalent as we get older.
All right, the harsh elements can constrict coronary arteries, and that, of course, causes less blood flow, which, of course, can lead to all kinds of problems. Combined with that heavy and wet snow that we tend to get sometimes, Bets, all of these things, of course, can increase the risk of something bad happening. However, as Betsy said, there are there are more things that go into this, and you heard the conditions there. If you fall into one of those categories and you're over 45, yeah, just have someone else come over, and you have to shell out a couple of bucks, but it's best maybe a neighbor can come over and do it. But that heavy lifting is what does it. According to the Washington Post, and I was surprised by this number, 11,500 people go to emergency rooms directly after shoveling snow.
That's not all from heart attacks or stroke, though.
It's not. In fact, the majority of them are soft tissue injuries. Yeah. Oh, my back. Oh, my knee.
Pulled my back, yeah.
But that still means that there are a large percentage that are there for breathing or other problems. 7% are heart-related injuries. And this was the stat that I found when I was researching this today that really surprised me. It takes 2 minutes. 2 minutes of shoveling that real heavy snow that we tend to get, that wet, heavy snow, to push your heart within 85% of the recommended stress levels. That's just 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you're out there doing it for 20 minutes, you can see how it can be bad.
And this is where the millennials come into the conversation, because they're like, fine, I'm great with somebody else doing it for me. Right, Matt?
I'm barely a millennial, by the way.
Yeah, well, you're on the fringe, close enough.
But you're right.
See, she knew. She knew. Matt, today's weather word is, and this is a public service. This is going to sound like a commercial, but it really isn't. Uh-oh. I saw this ad on TV for something called Snow Joe.
Oh, gosh.
And it is.
Is this the thing that cuts your hair?
No, that's the Flowbee. We're working on that.
The Snow Joe is operated by a lithium battery, so it's electric. You don't have no gas. You have nothing else. It's a shovel, and you've got to Google this and take a look at it. It's a shovel, and you pull a button, and you walk behind it, and it's incredible. That's all it is. It's just incredible.
Wow. I am in the camp of too good to be true. We shall see what happens.
I'm telling you, Bets. I got one for my father-in-law, and it works so well, now I've bought 2 of them.
Do you have one for you?
I do, yeah. I just do my walk. I leave the driveway to someone else.
Next snow, we need Jay to
I will take a video of it. And I recommend people Google it. It's crazy, Matt. But that's your word, Snow Joe.
So 2 words.
Yeah, no, it's 1 word, Snow Joe.
Well, I'm pretty sure I'll get tomorrow's the day off because that's 2 words. I don't care what you say. All right, high temperatures, they're not high temperatures. Wind gusts around the area have been on the high side today. Look at the gusts coming in over towards Port Clinton, 60 mile per hour gusts, Fairport Harbor, 54. We've had gusts 40 widespread across the area. What's on the backside of the gusty wind? It's cold air. It's coming in. Look at the temperature difference. Dover, 45 right now. 40 Akron. You're in between and out towards the west. We're in the 20s. Temperatures going down this evening with that Arctic front. Winds continue to be on the gusty side. Still gusting over 30 at times. The number you care about is the wind chill. Now feeling like 13 Sandusky, 15 Norwalk. This is that Arctic front as it is on the heels of some very cold air. So wind chills overnight tonight. Here we go. Back 10, 11 o'clock. We're in the single digits. It'll be a cold start start at the bus stop tomorrow morning. Keep that in mind as this wind continues to blow in. So here's our front now. Not a lot of moisture with it locally, most of it off towards the north. The wind is stirring up the lakes, and it is widespread. You bring this cold air mass over unseasonably warm lake waters. We've got lake effect snow for all the Great Lakes, but our orientation of the wind is from the southwest, so that's going to take most of the snow up towards the Buffalo area in the near term. So we're not going to deal with lake effect. Not a lot of snow here with your National Zymark hour-by-hour forecast. So perhaps you get the snow Joe out in the Worcester area. You're not going to need it tomorrow. There's no snow on the ground down there. You can see how we're dealing with cold temperatures tomorrow morning. Lake effect ongoing off towards the north. Remember that system down to the south? It's going to scrape by to the south. I think tomorrow afternoon, evening may have some light snow down near Dover, over towards Carrollton, Minerva. But as that system goes by, it's going to pull our lake effect down. So Friday morning, we could be dealing with some decent lake effect, especially out east in the primary snow belt. Messy morning commute Friday. Depends on how this shakes out. But you see not a lot of snow through Friday morning. But look at the models. They're putting out some pretty decent totals coming out, and that would be Friday. We'll detail more on that in the next half hour. Union Home Mortgage 7-day forecast 20s the next 2 days. Upwards this weekend, then back down with another Arctic shot with more lake effect snow. How about that? It's finally here Monday and Tuesday. Betsy.
By the way, Jay is obsessed with the old man winter wind
I love that
icon.
graphic.
So he really he finds that very
Anything
humorous.
for Jay.
It's my
That's
favorite.
right. All right, here's what's next on What's New. Martha Stewart is going to be opening a new restaurant this spring. We'll tell you where. That's ahead in Pop Break.
Hey Matt, we're talking Jack Harlow, Martha Stewart, and Jason Derulo today. You have to know Martha Stewart. I was gonna say, okay. Who's the other one? Oh, okay.
All right, everybody, welcome back. And you know what that sound means. It's time to take a pop break. And Kira joins us live from the newsroom right now with what's happening in the entertainment world. Hi there, Key.
Hi, Betsy. Well, this first story, it could be a case of when trolling goes wrong, or maybe it was an honest mistake. We may never know. But singer Jason Derulo could be in hot water after he was caught on camera attacking someone in Las Vegas yesterday morning. The reason? According to reports, the 32-year-old was mistaken for music icon Usher and was verbally assaulted. Next thing you know, in a video shared on social media, Derulo is seen charging across the room and punching at least one person. No official charges have been filed at this time. And Martha Stewart is stepping out of the box in 2022. The 80-year-old lifestyle icon is set to open her first ever restaurant in Las Vegas this spring. The Bedford by Martha Stewart will be nearly a 200-seat farm-to-table eatery located inside the Paris, Las Vegas. The restaurant will offer guests a look at how Martha lives and entertains in her Bedford, New York home. And rapper Jack Harlow is getting some love from his hometown. On Monday, the Louisville, Kentucky native shared a framed letter from the city's mayor honoring him with his own day. The letter read, "For answering once and for all that what's poppin' is Louisville. When it comes to talent that makes it bigger than big, but doesn't forget the home and hometown or homegrown." The city of Louisville will now honor December 18th as Jack Harlow Day. The announcement comes following Harlow's numerous initiatives to shine light and give back to the city. And we got big news from the music industry today. For the second year in a row, the Grammy Awards have been postponed due to COVID-19. A new date for the 64th annual Grammy Awards has not yet been announced. So super bummer there, Jay and Betsy.
That is. I mean, second straight year, the last 6 months, 9 months, we've seen everything open up and everything was starting to come back to life. And now it feels like someone's slamming on the brakes again.
They'll still get it done, though.
Yeah, we'll have to watch. I guess it'll be a much different. No award show at all? Completely, or just no folks?
It's just
inside?
postponed at this point. We don't know
Postponed
yet.
at this point. Okay.
They'll get it.
There you go.
All right,
Thanks, Keith.
Sure thing.
Well, I don't know why people say bird brain, Bets. And this video is going to prove that. Look at this bird.
What?
It takes the whole bird intelligence thing to the next level. Corpy is a raven, and this thing can actually match the blocks with the correct shape in the box.
Whoa.
She's a non-releasable animal ambassador at an accredited nature center. And look, she does that for a snack, Bets.
Well, I would do it for a snack, too.
I would, too. I'm not sure what the snack is, but when I first saw that, I thought this has to be fake. You know how you see you can't believe your eyes anymore with CGI and everything, but I watched it 5 times, and that bird's really doing that. And I'm impressed.
Is this where we can throw in a Schitt's Creek reference with the birds have eyes?
You just did.
Yes.
You just did, yes.
Love it.
I've heard stories of, I think it's crows, will drop, is it like walnuts or acorns on the road?
Oh, they're
knowing
smart.
that cars will run over them and break them open, and then they'll come down and eat the pieces.
Birds are using us, everyone.
Yeah, they are.
Just so you know.
Yeah, they're sandbagging. Okay, coming up in the second half hour of What's New, we continue to recognize a true football legend both on the field and in the booth here in Northeast Ohio. Doug Deacon preparing to work his final broadcast. Jimmy's going to be along, and we'll hear from Doug coming up.
Plus, KFC is getting in on the Beyond Meat game. They're planning to expand their plant-based fried chicken nationwide. We'll have more on that just ahead.
All right, then later, the NFL threatens to take away draft picks for unprofessional conduct in pre-draft interviews. This is a fascinating story. It's actually been developing for a couple of years now. We'll have those details. It's coming up in Clicking in Cleveland when What's New comes right back.
We were at my sister's wedding, you know?
Yeah.
And like, pretty bad, even though he was there.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah,
Oh.
he got pretty sick. And then... Father sports.
Oh, okay. And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
Right now, we start with 3 things you need to know this afternoon. There is a vigil that is starting right now for Officer Shane Bartek, who was killed on New Year's Eve during a carjacking. The march is starting now at the headquarters of Black on Black Crime on Kipling Avenue, and the group will end at 5th District Police Station. Once the march is over, speakers will share their memories of Officer Bartek. Late this afternoon, Cleveland's mayor, police chief, and director of public safety announced that the death of Officer Shane Bartek will be categorized as in the line of duty, which offers his family more benefit and support.
Betsy, today Summit County reported that 54% of the people who went to its drive-through testing site tested positive for COVID-19. They tested between December 28th and December 30th. Officials say they don't expect that rate will change much, especially because they were seeing more post-holiday gathering cases. Meanwhile, Cuyahoga County remains #1 for positive cases per capita in Ohio. Overall, 95% of the people who have died or have been hospitalized are unvaccinated.
And in 24 hours, 2 earthquakes have rattled Lake County. Yesterday morning, a 2.8 magnitude quake shook Timberlake. That's just outside of Eastlake. Today's aftershock has been registered as a 2.0 magnitude. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources told us that it happened around 5:30 this morning. It was a little more than a mile and a half deep. And as we mentioned yesterday, this area is the most active region ODNR has studied in the last 5 years. This summer, they're going to add and improve technology to get a better idea of what is going on. I mean, we don't have, the super faults, and it's not going to be, the day after tomorrow, anything like that coming our way. But it is notable. I think it's kind of one of those interesting things. Sometimes people feel them. I was in grade school in 1986 when the 5 earthquake hit. I know.
Sorry. I was in college, but I remember that.
I was a littlin. But I got to tell you, I remember it. I was in Miss Timbrell's music class, and the bongo drum fell off a shelf, and we didn't know what was going on. And that was down in Copley, way south of where it actually hit. There was some damage that was done on that one.
Yeah, that was a big one, and that was memorable. Certainly, if anyone lived in the area and felt that they remember that. 1986.
A lot of folks do.
Elementary school, huh?
Well, 5th grade.
Okay.
So I was right on the precipice of junior high.
Okay.
But very, very young 5th grade. All right.
Wow.
On that note, we'd like to welcome you back to What's New. I'm Betsy Kling alongside Jay Crawford.
Yeah, a lot of talk yesterday on the program about the Flowbee.
Yep.
I don't know how I brought it up, but I did. And if you may have noticed, I went immediately and got a haircut after the show yesterday because Betsy had that gleam in her eye.
Dude, we are working on getting
at the
Flowbee.
idea of cutting my hair with a Flowbee.
As I posted on our 3 What's New Facebook group, if you're not in there, join us, please. Just ask, we'll let you in. I did send a text to our boss and said, I'd like $260 to expense for a Flowbee.
She wants to cut my hair on TV with a Flowbee.
I'm actually trying to find one cheaper, so we're working on it.
All right.
We'll see what happens.
Well, I went out and got a professional cut because that scared me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though George Clooney has used the Flowbee for years.
Yeah.
I don't want to chance it.
We'll have to get Jimmy's take on that too, because Cheryl, his wife, is his barber.
Yeah, that's exactly right. In fact, speaking of Jimmy, today's top talker, the final act of a career with the Cleveland Browns that has spanned more than a half century is just a few days away. The man who has seen more Cleveland Browns games in person than anyone, Doug Deacon, will call his final game. That happens on Sunday. He's retiring after 34 years in the booth as a broadcaster.
Well, he brought his 14 years experience as a player into the booth with him. And of course, he got to sit alongside our very own Jimmy Donovan, who joins us now with more thoughts on this. You have got to be kind of in this emotional blender right now.
I love being around him, but it's hard for me to be around him this week because it is very emotional, and I don't know what it's going to be like on Sunday afternoon, but we will get through it. Sunday will be Doug Deacon's last game in the broadcast booth with me and with all of you listening to the ball games for so many years. How about this? The numbers are absolutely astounding. 51 seasons in some capacity with the Cleveland Browns, player or as a broadcaster. And Doug estimates himself, and he's had a lot of time to do the numbers on this, he estimates he has seen more Cleveland Browns games in person than anybody alive. The number is 900.
Wow.
And we talked to him today.
it's been a fun ride, and you know, the people that you're around make it better. And Jimmy is one of those people that's always made it better. And I think we've talked. You know, Cleveland is very fortunate to have the best in the business when it comes to play-by-play.
Well, thanks for that. Now, Doug has worked with some great play-by-play announcers, and I'm so proud to have sat with him for 23 years, and he includes me in that. But when he first went into the booth, he took over for the great Gib Shanley, and he worked alongside Nev Chandler, Jim Mueller, Joe Tate. The great Joe Tate was his coach. He used to work with Joe Tate and go over how he was putting his words together, how he was putting his thoughts together, and then he worked with Casey Coleman. And then we have had the great opportunity to work with each other for 23 years. Sunday's going to be a tough day football-wise because we're not playing for a playoff spot. Yeah. It's going to be a great day to honor Doug Deacon, and the Browns are going to do that, and they'll do it very well on Sunday in the Battle of Ohio against Cincinnati. And Betsy and Jay, on the haircut issue, I married my barber.
That's the smartest move ever.
I married my barber.
Jimmy, I got to say, I really wish we could allocate time for the next. We could probably do it over the next year.
Yeah.
For you just to tell stories of you and Dee in the booth.
I'll take one. I'll settle for one right now.
What's a good one?
I'll tell you the story, and I alluded to it. We were doing a pregame show in Denver, and we had to do it early in the morning because the game was later in the afternoon. We were doing the pregame show for right here at Channel 3 because we had the Browns, official television station of the Browns rights at that particular time. It was early in the morning, and I was a couple of cups of coffee in. Doug was 10 cups of coffee in, and I had noticed that he had gone to the bathroom. And so it was at a point where I said, hey, Doug, I need to go to the bathroom. Where is the bathroom here at Mile High Stadium? He said, it's 2 doors down on the right. Make sure you go to the second door on the right, not the first one. I went, okay. I went down to the second door, opened the door, and the Broncos have a mascot, named Thunder, a beautiful white horse. And I walked in to Thunder's stall, and there is Thunder looking at me. And Thunder's handler is outside the stall yelling, "You're in Thunder's stall!"
Well, Doug knows your love of horses, so I guess it's apropos, right?
That's what he says. He said, I knew you loved horses. I wanted you to meet Thunder.
He's counting those doors as he's going back to the booth.
That's a great look at Doug's personality, too, because he loves practical jokes.
There's more.
And he puts a lot of effort and time into them. He really does.
Too.
Doug, you're going to be missed.
You are.
Irreplaceable,
Can't wait to hear more stories. Thanks, Jimmy.
Jimmy, have fun during that broadcast on Sunday. You bet.
Well, we're switching now to a story about fast food. KFC is expanding its meatless chicken to all members of its chains. And the Beyond Meat product will be available starting next Monday, but only for a limited time. The popular fried chicken chain is counting on customers who are making healthier choices to fulfill their New Year's resolutions. According to CNBC, more Americans are embracing a so-called flexitarian diet. I love that term, which consumers cut down on their meat consumption for health and environmental reasons. It's driven the development and availability of plant-based substitutes nationwide. So
Matt's been ahead of this curve for years.
Well, he always says he's selectively vegan, right? Is that what it is?
I love that term.
That's exactly what it is.
Selectively vegan. It's
so
like,
good.
That's not really one that you can have a lot of gray area
When it's convenient.
Yeah.
And easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a hard diet to stick to. All right, so there's 2 Beyond Meat chicken strips, and the calories work out to this: 230 calories, 150 milligrams of sodium, 12 grams of fat. Okay, that's the Beyond Meat.
Right.
If you go over to the actual chicken, one extra crispy tender is 140 calories, 320 milligrams of sodium.
That's the killer right there.
And 7 grams of fat. So you're doing the trade-off with that sodium versus fat.
Yeah, and that is the killer. Sodium is like a toxin for the body.
Yeah.
Sugar and salt are just, they're not really supposed to be in that level in our bodies.
Chemistry is important.
Matt Wentz and Stephanie Haney are our resident non-meat eaters, so we thought they would be perfect for this discussion. Guys, what do you think about this? Is this something you're going to try?
Well, I'll go first because I'm super stoked on this, because the only thing that I miss is fried chicken skin, and I cannot wait to get those original herbs and spices into this fake chicken. I am very thrilled about it. I don't care if it's 1,000 calories. I will eat it all.
Yeah.
Wow.
The skin is so good. Yeah. Matt, what about you? You're going to be challenging
I'm not going to touch it. I'll just get the bucket of chicken there. That's fine.
Selectively vegan.
Right.
Do we know what's in them? Like, what is in that? Is it just vegetable-based or plant-based?
Pea protein isolate.
Yeah.
Eat protein.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with the
Wow.
chicken.
I had some for
Matt.
breakfast.
I'm going to
Going
stick with
down.
the chicken.
Yeah, that's one to kind of keep
Guilty
an eye
pleasure.
on. Not like the mushroom burgers. That's, yeah. Something for everybody. All right, coming up on What's New. If you joined us yesterday, you know we had a huge Flowbee discussion, which continues. We're going to be taking in some of your comments on that hair cutting system.
Yeah, it really struck a chord with the folks in our What's New Facebook page. They love
They
the Flowbee,
really want
man.
me to cut your hair.
I know they do. Yeah. Matt has said he would definitely volunteer for that.
He did.
And painting figurines is a unique hobby, but for one man, that hobby got the minds of his local students working. We're going to show you how coming up. But first, Matt's back. He's got our weather in a jiffy. I loved it yesterday. What do you have for us?
Yeah,
today?
today's is pretty easy. We got some footage of some of the 3 news pets around the area. And boy, these 2 dogs could both use Flowbees, probably. Look at the faces on them, just staying steadfast. Felt like that outside. We've got your forecast next.
What my Goldens looked like this morning when I let them out.
Aw.
So cute.
Jay has now upgraded to demonstrating the Snow Joe for us here in the studio.
Well, not the actual the product, but I was telling Matt about it, about how it works, and yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. I'm more excited about Matt's
Matt's
stats.
stat. Let's
He
get
did
to
this
it.
yesterday, and it was great. I loved it.
Want to keep you guys on your edge because you usually fall asleep during my forecast, so I want to make sure you're staying awake. So today's Matt Stats question, all right, I've got 4 options for you here. We've got the number 1, that's what we're going to start with. Is the number 1 the coldest temperature all of last winter, the amount of snow rounded since December 1st this year, or the total grams of sugar in 1 serving of this jar of peanut butter that I'll show you in the green screen in a second, or is it D, all of the above?
Ooh.
All the above.
Tricky with you
Those are
today.
tough.
Those are tough. What are you doing, Jay?
I'm going to keep my answer for a surprise.
Let's think about
it.
Yeah, we tell them at the end of weather, don't we?
We say it at the end?
I don't have the answer
yeah.
now.
That way people stay through the weather forecast.
Okay, I have my answer.
Okay.
Well, you guys keep your answers, all right. Keep them secret. Don't tell each other. Betsy and I both got this tweet on Twitter. I love this. This is from Ryan. He's a 7-year-old military family, just moved here, really wants snow. So he wrote us this letter. Mr. Weatherman, when will we have snow? I haven't seen it in 4 years. I am desperate. Please help. Aww. Ryan. Ryan, we've got some help for you. Do you live in the snow belt? That's the only question I have, because we've got some lake effect to talk about, so we'll get into that. Thank you for that letter, Ryan. Look at the cold air coming in. Minneapolis, Pierre, sitting in the single digits. We've got cold air that continues to move in here this evening. We've gone from the 40s to the 30s to the 20s, and that's going to be the trend as we go throughout the evening. You take a look at what it feels like. That's really the only number that matters. We're back into the single digits by midnight or so. So a cold night, cold start tomorrow morning as well, and another cold one on Friday. So here comes the cold air. It's stirring up the lakes. Remember the lakes, we haven't had much lake effect at all. We're some 30 inches below average in Erie. You can see as we get out towards areas to the north, that's where the lake effect's going now. It'll get better organized, but we've got a southwest wind, so that's going to keep it offshore tonight and for the bulk of the day tomorrow. National Zymarn hour-by-hour forecast. Everywhere else, it's just going to be cold. We'll have partly cloudy skies tomorrow. You get up towards the lakeshore. This is where we're going to be watching this band. So you see how it's got that southwest to northeast orientation. Buffalo going to get hit hard tomorrow during the day. Should stay offshore, but remember we have that system sliding back to our south. Some light snow down to the south. As this low pulls by, watch how the lake effect turns. It kind of grabs, it gets pulled in. So we're talking tomorrow evening, perhaps Ashtabula, maybe even Lake County getting some heavier snow. And then, here we go. This snow comes into Cuyahoga, Geauga County. With the cold air aloft, we could have some intense snow with this lake effect snow band. So by tomorrow night, and then especially Friday during the day, we could be dealing with some decent snow somewhere in the snow belt. Time will tell as we get some, different model runs in here. But look at some of the latest model guidance bringing some decent snow into that area. And in terms of snow from there on out, again, that system's going to miss us. It's all lake effect, Ryan. So that's where we're going to be getting our snow. Union Home Mortgage 7-day forecast. So you notice how we go through time. We do it all over again, Saturday, Sunday with a big temp drop. And then we're dealing with more lake effect snow. Could be pretty significant around here, depending on how everything aligns on Monday and Tuesday. All right, what do you guys think?
I'm going B.
I'm always going D, all of the above. It's there for a reason.
All of the above already?
Yeah, that's there for a reason.
Okay, answer is this. D, you're right, Jay. It is all of the above.
See, that was the kind of deductive reasoning I used to pass the ACT.
You must be using that all-natural peanut butter, right?
Yeah, I don't know what's in there.
It's the good stuff.
See, my family uses the processed stuff that up that sugar content.
Pea protein isolated. It's great.
Thank you, Matt. And I give Ryan a couple decades, and he'll be sending Matt a much different kind of letter. Live here long enough. He won't be begging for snow. All right, it's time to see what's clicking in Cleveland. For that, we say hello to our digital anchor, Stephanie Haney again. Hi, Steph.
Hello there, Jay. Okay, the NFL is talking new dramatic steps to protect prospective players. Kind of surprising with this today. The NFL today said it would take away early draft picks and fine a team a minimum of $150,000 if a representative does something that is, quote, disrespectful, inappropriate, or unprofessional during pre-draft interviews with players. Individual staff could also be hit with fines and suspensions. And here's another big change. The NFL is ditching that controversial Wonderlic test. It's an intelligence test, and the NFL says it is trying to improve the professional and medical experience for draft prospects. And now what we all really want to talk about is more Flowbee talk. Yesterday Jay had me convinced that he used a Flowbee just like George Clooney to cut his hair. And here's what our What's New viewers are saying about it on the What's New Facebook page. They have a lot of thoughts on this. First, though, this is the Flowbee, in case you haven't seen it. It attaches to a vacuum cleaner hose, and you can cut hair with it. This thing, like Betsy said, it's like $260. I think they're trying to price people out of it. And Betsy, of course, texted our boss Adam to see if we can get one to try it out on Jay on live TV. And our What's New family had a lot to say about that. We'll show some of those scrolling comments here just in a minute, just so you get an idea of how many. Maybe we won't show them, but I'm going to read you some, Jay and Betsy. And everyone at home, here is what some of the people are saying.
There they are.
You see all those responses there. This is must-see TV. Lisa Lauren says that. She wants to see it very much. And they think that we have a very cool box for entertaining this. Also, Jay and Betsy, Sharon Reuter has a Dyson if you want to borrow one. Now, I have a Dyson blow dryer. I'm going to say I do not recommend that.
Wow.
Do not recommend. But there are actually a lot of people in the What's New Facebook page who have used these.
Yes.
Paul Eddington says he's been using it for 25 years.
Yeah, right.
But I need to provide this word of warning, okay? Here's a cautionary tale from Darlene Zappa.
Oh.
She is a hairdresser, and one of her friend's husbands used this on her, and with the long hair, it is not a good idea.
Ooh.
So, no, Betsy, we cannot do this with you. Jay, maybe, if you're into it.
That's why I got a haircut yesterday.
See, with Jay, all we have to do is make it a competition. That's all we have to do.
You're right. You
I
can fool
dare
me
you.
easly.
I dare
Yeah,
you.
you're
I'm in.
right.
A race between Matt and Jay.
Yeah, she's right. I mean, I would be in.
I'll Floby everybody. Here we go. You're next.
Thanks, Steph.
All right, up next for us, one retired man's new hobby is sparking imaginations in local students. How he's giving back while having to make the most of his golden years. That's ahead in our education station.
All walks of life have rallied around the children at Dickens Elementary School.
People from all walks of life have rallied around students at our adopted school, Charles Dickens Elementary in Cleveland. And recently, a local artist added a colorful touch to the Dickens Reads after-school program, giving the kids and himself a gift that'll keep on giving. January Keaton has the story.
Ain't nobody picked this. This is the one I like.
Local artist John Starks is a figurine painter with a soft spot for children.
Do you have a dog?
He visited our Dickens students during their after-school book club and brought some very special guests. Starks painstakingly hand paints these extraordinary African-American figurines. No small feat for a man with a number of health problems who needs an oxygen machine to breathe.
I was diagnosed 6 years ago with chronic emphysema. And due to the different types of medications I take, they cause insomnia.
So what better way to pass the sleepless nights than to pick up a hobby? Stark's mom used to paint figurines, so he gave it a shot and loved it.
It turned into a nightly thing. I couldn't wait for it to get dark.
Dickens students were tasked with creating their very own story about one of Stark's figurines, getting their imaginations and storytelling juices flowing. The kids dove right in.
You get to hear all this from the kids, the different names they make up and all that.
The whole thing made Starks a little misty.
I'm choked up, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I guess as you older, you get emotional.
And when asked why a man retired and ailing would come out in support of kids he doesn't even know, Stark's answer, as magical as his figurines themselves.
You give back. You know, and if making somebody smile is your way of giving back, let it be. But like I say, it's something to make somebody else happy. It really is.
Now, John Starks is a retired custodian who worked for the Plain Dealer for 33 years, but he's definitely not done working yet. He brings his figurines to hospitals, nursing homes, and other schools. Dickens' children even got to take home some of John's figurines. For more information on John and his figurines, go to our website, WKYC.com.
That is a cool story. January, thanks. Coming up next on What's New, one little boy lost one of his most favorite things in a house fire, but now folks are stepping up to help him. We're going to have that story. It's coming up and Show Us Something Good after the break.
Gotcha. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, hello. Thanks for being with us.
I gotcha. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. Laura Queso's mic. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Mic check. Sarah's mic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you. No, but I'm okay. One second. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. Mic check. 1, 2, 3.
Today's Show Us Something Good comes from McKinney, Texas, where 10-year-old Elijah loves to play the drums. In 2019, his house caught fire and he lost his drum set. Well, shortly after, his music teacher, Stacy Caldwell, surprised him with a new drum set.
Wow, and the gifts didn't stop there, Bets. Since then, others have donated things like an electric drum set, cymbals, sticks, books, and much more. Foster that love of music.
Just never know where that kid's gonna go.
Yeah.
Lots of potential.
Neat story. That's it. We're out of time. Back tomorrow at 5, and we hope to see you then.
What Matters Most with Russ and Laura starts right now.
Now at 6, City in Mourning. A special remembrance tonight for a fallen Cleveland police officer as his death is ruled in the line of duty. We'll have a live report. Also, shooting investigation. New dramatic video tonight showing the moments a Canton police officer opened fire and killed a man last weekend. Interview with the governor.
What we're really, worried about is our hospitals filling up.
Our Maureen Kyle talks one-on-one with Governor DeWine about the pandemic. And to the extreme, from heavy snow to the south to windy conditions here at home, even another earthquake along Lake Erie. We'll take a look at Mother Nature's wild January.
From the WKYC studios, this is What Matters Most.
And good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Mitchell.
And I'm Laura Queso. Tonight, honoring a fallen police officer. Shane Bartek, who was shot and killed on New Year's Eve during a carjacking, is being remembered tonight during a special vigil in his honor. Isabel Lawrence joins us live now from there. Hi, Isabel.
Good evening, Laura. Yeah, as you can see behind me, people have gathered here at the 5th District Police Station with flags and remembering that fallen officer. They started earlier this evening with a gathering at the headquarters for Black on Black Crime, Inc. That was just up the street here. So to give you an idea, they started up the street, walked down East 152nd Street here, where they landed